If you think it's time for a new menstrual cup or disc because yours is looking a little dingy, watch this video. Hi everybody and welcome back. I am so excited to be here and to have you here with me. It's been a long time since I filmed a long video and it just feels really good to be back. If you're new here, my name is Kim Rosas and I'm a period products expert. Here at Period Nirvana, we teach you how to find the right menstrual cup or disc for you and, more importantly, how to succeed with it. Before we get into a little bit of self-promo, I do have one big, huge, exciting, important announcement to make. Period Nirvana is opening a brick-and-mortar retail store in Asheville, North Carolina. You did not know we had a live studio audience, did you? So this store is not going to be open for a while. We have so much work to do. We have to continue to plan out the space, finish that, get our permits, and then start building it out. And in my head, it's going to be amazing. Can't wait for you to see it either through videos or in person. And I'm sure as the work begins, I'll start uploading some content about building out my first brick and mortar store. So make sure you subscribe for updates on that. If you want to find out more about our store or get email updates about when our opening is, make sure that you click the link in the video description. I'll put one there for you and you can sign up for those. And if you're brand new to menstrual cups or discs and you need help getting started, make sure to check out our quiz on periodnirvana.com. It's going to help you find the right cup or disc for you, asking a few questions, and it's going to give you one of 29 unique outcomes. We also have Period.Shop, our sister retail store, so when you're ready to make a purchase, buying from Period.Shop from our curated, top quality selection supports the education we provide here. So thank you. Menstrual cup stains are going to happen. Repeat after me. Your product is going to stain. It might stain quickly, it might stain slowly, but eventually it's not going to look like the same product that you bought a year before or 5 years before or 8 years before. The product is going to stain because there's iron in the blood, and depending on your iron levels, it might stain faster or slower. Other factors that might influence how quickly the stains start to develop are the texture on the product itself and how heavy you're bleeding, how long you're wearing the product each cycle. All of that varies. So one person's product might not stain for a year or 2 years, while yours might start showing stains in a month or 3 months or 6 months. So it's all unique to each person. The important thing to remember is that a stained product still works. You do not need to run out and buy a replacement every time your cup or disc starts showing stains. There are some remedies to help, but first, let's tackle some possible preventative measures. If you're trying to prevent stains from setting in, the brands will recommend to do a cold rinse of your product to get all the blood off before you start washing in warm or hot water. Now, I find this claim to be a little bit dubious. I don't really feel like this is going to be super effective, but it is worth a shot. Also, most of us are probably already doing this anyway because it takes a while for the hot water to start going, so you're probably already rinsing in cold. By the time you're washing it, all of the water has warmed up. There's something else you can do. If you don't like the idea of stains, whether you're a first-time menstrual cup user or you already have a menstrual cup or disc and it is time to replace your product and you're thinking about what's next, you could buy a black product. Black products are not going to show the stains. The darker the colorant, the less likely it's going to show stains. So you could have a completely stained disc and just not know it. Hello Disc recently came out with a black. The Hazomi has a black. Flex Cup has always come in black. There are a few gray options as well, Salt Soft and Cora. And also Hello Disc comes in this darker teal in the Galapagos color. And while it is going to stain, it's not going to have the same contrast as something with a much lighter shade or even a clear. So how do we address the stains that we've already developed? The first one is hotly contested amongst brands. Some brands will recommend it. Some will say, actually don't do that. And that is doing a peroxide soak. A hydrogen peroxide dilution of about 2 to 3%, which is usually sold in the US, just at your pharmacy. I think these are like $1, like a single dollar, if not $1.50, under $2. It's like the cheapest thing you can buy nowadays is a big bottle of hydrogen peroxide. I was actually shocked at how cheap this was. You put your cup or disc in the solution and let it soak for about 2 to 3 hours. I wouldn't let it soak longer than 4 at the max, but just keep an eye on it. Now, the trick with doing a hydrogen peroxide soak is that all of these products want to float. So you might have to get inventive about how you keep the product submerged, either by going in and kind of turning it and just kind of watching it, or weighing it down, or putting it in something with a lid that keeps it completely submerged so that all the parts are soaked, because whatever is not soaked is going to continue to be stained. It is a miracle solution. Here are some before and afters. This is a Luma disc that I was wearing for most of my cycles before the Hello disc came out, and it was clear to start. It got very red, and then here it is after. And then here is a salt disc. It's not my disc. I actually outsourced some discs for a before and after for this video. This is someone else's salt disc that I soaked in hydrogen peroxide this week, and here it is after. It looks completely brand new. I can't find but one tiny speck. Brand new. I didn't scrub this at all. Even though it has ridges, all of that came out. I've done soaks where I didn't need to scrub anything, but there are some stubborn raised letterings and suction holes that might not come out with the soak, in which case you can scrub those off with a small cleaning toothbrush. After you've done your peroxide soak, you definitely want to wash the product really well and then give it a boil or a steam just to make sure that all of the peroxide is completely off the product before you use it. So very important to make sure you do that. So it is a miracle product. The con of peroxide is that the brands that are warning against peroxide are concerned about the silicone being degraded or compromised in some way. So this is to your own discretion. I am personally okay with doing 1 or 2 peroxide soaks a year as needed. You do want to keep an eye on the product and the silicone. If your product shows any signs of degrading, such as chalkiness, stickiness, any hairline fracture, cracks, obviously any tearing, that's when it's time to discontinue use. Peroxide, I would use it because, yeah, I just find that a stain disc becomes less appetizing over time to use. So I do peroxide soak with my product. I am going to say, as a little bit of an asterisk, please check your brand's guidelines so that you're not going against any warranty they might have in place for replacement. Because if you peroxide soak it and something happens to the product and it's very early in its lifespan and they actually have a warranty that covers replacement, you will void that warranty. If you're worried about peroxide, I don't blame you. We want our products to last as long as possible. We bought a reusable product so that it would last for a long time. So if that is you, I have an option B, elbow grease. This is not fun, and it can be a long process, but you can manually scrub off the surface stains on your silicone menstrual cup or disc. You want to start with a tightly woven knit cloth. No loops, no microfibers, nothing with like little tiny hairs. You want completely tight knit cloths. And you are just gonna scrub your product of all the stain that has accumulated. This is for surface staining. And believe it or not, you're gonna have a completely brand new looking disc. If you have something like Hello Disc, which does have all these little additional pieces, that's gonna be harder to do. If you have something that's a little more simplistic without those extra bobbles, it's gonna be easier to wipe and clean off. Put on a podcast or put on Bridgerton and just scrub, and before you know it, it's gonna be sparkly and new. And you've done it all completely free of peroxide. There are some people out there who ask why I don't talk about the little tablets that you put in with your menstrual cup or disc. Some brands sell them. I think Heizomi has some. I think that Milton tablets are also out there. Tablets are not a really big thing here in the US. In fact, I don't have any tablets to test out. So you can try that out if you want to see if it removes the stains on your products. I believe that's what they're meant to do, but I don't have any and I can't really say if they work or not. Speaking of things that may or may not work, here is another option to consider, and I would love to know if it works for you or not. Sunlight. Sunlight is a natural bleaching agent. It does remove stains, especially from textiles. And if you've ever sat like your cushions outside for your patio set or anything next to a window, you do see that it fades the color over time. It bleaches colors out. This could work on some of the products that have yellowed over time. It's different than a surface stain. So I did do a little test of my own. I put this stained Hello Disc that one of our readers donated, and it did not do anything. The sun did not do anything. and those were surface stains. Now, I didn't try any sort of yellowed disc or cup because I didn't have one. I don't have any that have that yellowing to them. I know that the sun can be a natural bleaching agent. I know some people have had success with this. I've done some research in all the different boards and, groups that talk about menstrual cups and discs, but I haven't personally had success with it. And I also think you're going to have to give it multiple days out in full sunlight. So if you decide to use the sun to either naturally bleach your product or, and I will say this is a good idea, to deodorize it if you've had some odor that's lingering that you can't get rid of with boiling and washing, you can use the sun for that as well. Make sure you put it somewhere that an animal can't grab it or that the wind can't take it. If the stains bother you, it's okay to be bothered by it. I will fully admit that after a while when I've been using a product and it starts to stain, it becomes less enticing. Every time I reach for it, I'm like, And I have a lot of products to choose from. I typically use the Hello Disc every cycle because it's the one that works the best for me. But sometimes I'm like, this blue one's looking a little dingy. And that's when I have, destained it. I actually did the rubbing method one time and it came out good as new. If not having a stained product makes you more excited about your period, then definitely do one of these methods to get rid of it so that every time you reach for it, you're like, it's time. I mean, as much as you can be about your period. But you certainly don't want to be like when you reach for it because, yeah, it can get like that. But I also want to say that there's nothing wrong with continuing to use a stained disc. It's going to work just as well. As long as you continue to sanitize that every month, which we are supposed to do. I am just as guilty as you as not doing it every month, but you can use a steam sanitizer like the salt steamer, or you can just boil it every single month at the end or the beginning of your cycle. You still want to follow sanitation guidelines, but stains are okay. In fact, you can consider it patina and a sign of their amazing service to you and what they've done to make your periods a lot better. With or without stains, your silicone menstrual product is meant to last 5, maybe even 10 years. Whatever method you choose to remove the stains, you just want to keep an eye on it as it ages to make sure that the silicone is not showing signs of degrading. But chances are you're going to lose that product before you need to replace it because the silicone is going bad. And I think that's it. There's really not that much to talk about. I'm just really excited that I get the opportunity to sit down and talk to you here on long form video again. I hope you've been well. I really have missed it here. And every time I get on here, I'm like, I need to do more videos. And then life happens and work happens and things get really busy. But really looking forward to having this physical space open. So I invite everyone to keep an eye out for news of our opening. And if you're in the area, would really love to see you there. Thanks so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe for notice of one of these very random, infrequent video uploads. But also, I'm always uploading YouTube short content, so look for that. We'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye. I am still uploading. Blacks are going... Some of the brand... Kitty. No, kitty, no. But, it's just, if it...